Let's start this.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just dive in. First question, what does beauty mean to you? And you can be however literal or esoteric as you want to be.
Sure. So within the context of this conversation, there was 2 points of beauty, right? There's beauty like in an artistic sense, and then that can also coalesce with beauty in a physical sense, like appearing beautiful to people or other people seeming attractive. But all in all, I think that beauty for me, when I really sat down and thought about it, like what is this kind of like enigmatic thing? I would definitely say that beauty is a kind of refinement of raw experience, raw matter, everything around us, a refinement of nature.
Mhm.
Being able to identify beauty and to look at beauty um, is merely it's above sexual attraction at times, and attraction is also in like dependent on beauty a lot of the time as well. But I do think the selection, the refinement, the being able to see beauty is an illusion. It's in that refinement of nature and everything that we see around us. I think the artistic perspective, all of that, I think beauty is just is an illusion,
Mhm.
and a kind of order that we bring to chaos, I think.
Mhm.
When it really comes down to it, when I think about it, because I come from like a Pallian, like a Camille Paglia perspective,
Mhm.
on things. So
Yeah, that's a beautiful answer. I think that makes me want to ask something that I didn't write down. But
yeah.
so do you view like there being a hierarchy of types of beauty or like a hierarchy of definitions of beauty in like, or even if it's not a hierarchy, like moralistically, like this is less than this, but is
Mhm.
there like a I don't know how you
That's a
form
great
a
question.
non-moral
No,
hierarchy.
it's a great question, and it's a question I think that has been asked of beauty for centuries,
Mhm.
even before the philosophy of aesthetics and everything. I think we've been trying to ask what constitutes something that is beautiful, what constitutes taste. And the only thing that I've been able to really figure out, the only thing that I've been from my observations, from my own learning and from my experience, is that there is some kind of order to it. There is some kind of hierarchy. There are things that we desire more than others in different situations. It's circumstantial, but beauty is in everything, yet not everything is beautiful. It's
Mhm.
really interesting, kind of like bind with that.
Mhm.
Because in what situation can one person have more merit than the other?
Mhm.
So that's the best way I can say, is that everything, that beauty is completely ubiquitous. It exists in everything, but not everything can be beautiful. There is some kind of observable thing that something can be beautiful,
Mhm.
but it's almost impossible to be able to like narrow it down to like a set of characteristics
Yeah.
all the time. Objectively, we've done those things, in art, um, and we've done our best with it, and yet there are still people challenging that all the time. So
Mhm.
I think it's almost an impossible question to ask, but like from my
Yeah.
own experience, like sure, like I can like base what is beautiful off of like a certain type of hierarchy based on my own experience and my own observations, what I've learned,
Mhm. And
sure.
yeah, so because this is ultimately the conversation that I want to steer us towards is like a conversation of like physical, like
Yeah.
where it pertains to like sexual attraction,
Yeah.
beauty.
Sure.
But then that not being the only kind of beauty, like there's the beauty of nature, there's beauty of you know natural disasters, there's beauty in like
Sure.
symmetry and math and shit like that. So like when I'm asking about do you think that there's a hierarchy, where do you think the more like body focused beauty falls in that stratification of types of beauty?
that's also something very interesting. Like as I started like thinking about the other questions as well, when we do go into physical attraction and what, you know, between two people, um,
Hmm.
or what like a standard of beauty is physically. A lot of the time, like it's strange for me as an artist because I look at things through an artistic point of view and I find beauty supersedes, like I said earlier, the sexual attraction thing.
Yeah.
I can find something or somebody beautiful physically for, let's say, like the asymmetry of their body shape, right?
Mhm.
While that may not necessarily be what scientists will say uh, constitute a stereotypically like standardly attractive woman, let's say, like the, I guess most people would say like the male population tends to um, enjoy a woman that is or is attracted to a woman who is like has an hourglass figure
Yeah.
or who has like more who is more curvaceous rather than a woman who's like a waif, right? But at the same time, like I look at it from the perspective of an artist and I say like the waif has just as much of just as many beautiful physical attributes as the woman who is curvaceous.
Mhm.
And there may be a tie between the two of them, but one of them would be considered less sexually attractive than the other. So
Yeah.
I think beauty kind of supersedes the sexual attraction thing all the time.
Yeah.
But then that's when you start going into the artistic realm and you start to lose your physical material
Yeah.
presence. Um, so I guess that's how I would answer that in like in my perspective,
Hmm.
because I'm also not a man
Yeah.
either. But when it comes to men, I find myself being attracted to like to men, and I see them physically, and I'm like, oh, you're very handsome or you're very beautiful, right? But when it comes down to the sexual attraction, it's not there.
Hmm.
I find that missing piece very interesting. Once it gets to a certain point of beauty, certain artistic level of beauty, physical appearance, whatever those, you know, the artistic principles there, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's sexual attraction there.
Yeah, that's you said something a couple sentences ago, which makes me think of why I'm drawn to your voice, like or your like ideas on things and your like the way that you dissect beauty. Because I think like I'm so interested in this like separation between the discussion of beauty as it pertains to like trying to find a mate, and then the discussion of beauty for beauty's sake and like pursuit of beauty and understanding beauty. Almost like I describe it to you as like it feels like you are like a student of it, and like it's like a religion of sorts, and like in that space it becomes like sex is not the centerpiece. And then but then I think what made me feel like I absolutely had to talk to you was that video you posted about like what if I want to be objectified, because
Yeah.
it felt like all this like theory that you were building up, which I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking interesting. And then it crashed into this very visceral, okay, but I am still a person in a body. And
Mhm.
I want the beauty that I am embodying to be consumed in a particular way sometimes. So can we talk about that? I know I'm going to return back to my list of questions eventually,
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's yeah, that video, the comments that I posted um on it to explain it too, that like there is this desire sometimes to appear physically attractive and to be to attract men. I'm just going to speak men women because that's what I'm a woman and I'm attracted to men. Okay, so that's the box we're in right now. But sometimes it doesn't have to do with like being beautiful and like what I necessarily find beautiful, because like some of my tastes have like are very artistic and I think I look beautiful, but it's not necessarily like something that I indulge in because I know I feel beautiful to the opposite sex. Those
Hmm.
can be very, very different things.
Yeah.
Like my most extreme of beauty has nothing to do with being seen by men or being attracted, like or of men being attracted to me whatsoever.
Can I ask you something really, really fast?
Yeah.
So in that, Have you ever, because I feel like I've experienced this, and I'm curious to know if you have experienced this, where like you are getting ready, you're finna go out, and you're like, you're dolling yourself up in your like notion of what is beautiful. You feel like the baddest bitch when you're looking in the mirror in your house. And then you go out into the world and then you're met with the difference between your notion of that and
Yeah.
what is attractive to the opposite sex. And does that ever impact how you feel about your presentation, or does it still stand strong?
Uh, I feel like maybe I'm not the best person to ask that, like, because I feel like I've been doing that my whole life.
Mhm.
Um, like I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, like I've been dressing like weird. I've been dressing like me. I've been doing my own thing for God knows how long, forever. And it really, I didn't know how to be any other way. And then whenever I came into my beauty a little bit more, I matured more, I developed more, and I was like, oh, like I could look like a baddie if I wanted to, or I could dress like this, and I could look like men could notice me if I tried, right? And I would literally like in college, I would do that. I would dress a certain way one day, the way that I thought was beautiful, actually. I used to do this with my friend. And then the other day I would dress like what like a baddie, like do my makeup like that, like have like my skin showing and like dressing for my figure and all that. And it was day and night difference, right?
Mhm.
And it was just like, oh, that's cool that I can turn that on and off, that like I have the ability to enjoy and be entertained and like be consumed in this way, uh be compartmentalized, be objectified and enjoy it. And also I can turn that off and be like, I can be like the artistic sense of what I think is beautiful.
Mhm.
And maybe they coalesce, maybe sometimes, because there are men, and I've dated men that have been able to like enjoy both. I've even had sexual experiences myself that where I was not like in normal, like stereotypical attractive like makeup or whatever. I looked like quite different, like the quite opposite of that. And I've had like very good sexual experiences like that. So I think there's a certain man that will be okay, like doesn't mind and can see past that, and some men just don't, and they just don't care for it.
Yeah, that's dope. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that so much. I asked because like I'm like, I don't know how much you know about Memphis, but it's not, I mean, we're in the Bible Belt, so it's very like expression is limited. I mean, we got like our own style and stuff, but like I'm very different when I step outside from the people that I'm around. And when I go out with my friends, like we'll go out dancing or we'll go downtown. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm a bad bitch.
Yeah.
Because I'm still learning how to be okay with being so starkly different. It does affect me when my friends who are dressed more like normal get
Hmm.
approached more. And
Hmm.
I think I just wanted to know like if that was something you even thought about.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess like the approach being approach thing, like I've always been like just in college, I guess the most recent situation. Like I was with girls that were like that, like very typically like beautiful, but
Yeah,
just like
gorgeous.
be stereotypical, like beautiful, baddie, bad bitch, whatever, tight fitting clothes, like short dresses, like great makeup. Their hair was curled and like they looked so great. And
Mhm.
like they were the ones that the guys always hit on. And I just always was like the outcast. So I was used to that already. So I just like, it didn't affect me as much. Of sure it made me want to be like, oh, like what if I did look like that? What if I tried to look like that?
Mhm.
Um, like after a while, I even think like people like as extreme as like someone like Lady Gaga, right? She's known for being very, very much anti-sexual all the time, right? Anti-baddie or whatever. And after a while, she was just like, God damn it, I just want to be like pretty. I just want to be a beautiful, like sexy woman. Like that's, after a while, you just want to like feel that. Like it's just nice. But yeah, no, I guess the only instance where I've felt that is that I've been like, oh, like let me try that. But
Yeah.
I've been kind of like, I've always been maybe not the ugly duckling, but like the one that wasn't like the stereotypically attractive one.
What and who is beautiful?
I guess the beautiful thing, I think has, or person, I think has potency. Of course, a person can be like physically beautiful. I think beauty, especially physical beauty, because I just did a video on this. I think good, like truly arresting beauty requires a little bit of flaw, a little bit of aberration. But that's coming from somebody that believes in art as like the highest form of beauty, being an art form. Because the form of like the sexual attraction related to beauty is just kind of, it just falls flat for me after a while and becomes very one dimensional. So a certain degree of potency in a person, that being something lies beneath the surface. The personality, the persona is engorged with meaning. I think that has a lot to do with beauty. What makes up something, you know, the very fabric of that person or thing, has a lot to do with it. I think that there is a certain, you know, the asymmetry, definitely like some kind of flaw or like defining characteristic. The What did I write down? Oh, there we go. There it is. Jesus. Definitely like a effortlessness. Um, like I think something that maybe people don't really know too much about, minimalism, or what they hate so much about that is just like, it's probably because they don't get it, or it's just not being done effectively. It's being done cheaply. But like minimalism in a person or in a work of art or whatever is meant to symbolize elegance, a simple solution to something that has been achieved through experience and mastery. So I think that an effortlessness and grace, I've talked about grace too, and indifference, is this kind of like, is this mastery of being. I think has a lot to do with beauty. And you can see that in artwork too. You know, you can see it in Japanese porcelain. You can see it in like Agnes Martin's paintings. You can see that in um, uh, an Adobe building. Like you can just see that in things that have taken maybe not time, but definitely experience and mastery to create. That's where that like potency comes from. Effortlessness, definitely. I think to the effortlessness, this I wrote down like the juxtaposition of something's grandeur with its perceived ease of presentation has a lot to do with beauty. There's an Italian word that I just found out about. Sprezzatura. It's
Ooh.
it's a there it's an Italian word, and there's no other word in any other language that can match this, but um it is studied carelessness.
Mm.
That's what it is. Okay.
Sprezzatura.
Sprezzatura. Yeah.
Mm.
Um that has a lot to do with beauty, and that's where that like effortlessness and potency come together, the grandeur of something but with like an ease in the way that it's like presented. It's basically this idea that you hide all of what it takes, all of what you've learned in your mastery and your discipline in order to create this ease of persona.
Mm.
I think
Yeah,
that
it's
has
kind of
a
like a
lot.
dancer. Kind of like a dancer when they like build up so much strength and flexibility that their
Like
movements.
ballerinas. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
really cool. So do you
It
think
takes
beauty
so
can
much.
happen on, oh, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No. We got it. That's it.
Mhm. So do you think beauty can happen on accident then?
Like in a person.
I guess in a person, but just kind of in general.
Speaking from experience when it comes to art, I would say that yes, beauty can be created on accident, but I think it takes the real artist to be able to recreate it like more than once. So like I've done paintings or drawings or whatever. I draw, I don't paint. I've done drawings, right, where I'm like, oh my God, like I miraculously created like something really great. And it's just like, but I don't know how to redo it. I don't know how to create this style again in another painting. And it's just like, that's an accident, but it shows that you don't have the mastery to create, to continue that. I've seen people who have like very little skill do something miraculously beautiful. And I think maybe that has to do with like the rarity of something happening like that, that the miracle uh, uh, trait or tendency. But and that can happen with people too, I guess, like in the gene pool, sometimes it's just like you ever like like the virgin suicides, or like how did these two people create these four gorgeous girls, and they're like the most awkward,
Yeah.
unattractive people ever, right? So I guess you can have that in the gene pool as well. But um I think there are people, when it comes to their gestures and their mannerisms and how they conduct themselves in the world. I've known people like this. I've become friends with them naturally. And I, that is something I can't explain. I used to know a girl, she was like my first muse ever. I went to high school with her, good friend of mine. And she was just like miraculously, everything she did, every photo taken of her, every movement, every gesture, the way she spoke, she was never caught in a bad moment ever. And it perplexed me so much, because it seemed like there was something like divinity like shone through her. And I always wished I could be like that. Usually that kind of grace is achieved by somebody who is very like socially adept, like somebody who's been around a lot of people all the time, family members, that kind of thing, or somebody who like went to like finishing school, somebody who was a dancer, that kind of thing. But sometimes like as far as like the mannerisms and grace and gestures and everything, not necessarily like physical beauty, like how they look, that has always like, I can't explain that. I don't know. I think maybe they're just easier on themselves, the way that they move and everything. They aren't as like rigid, and like the structure of their body maybe allows them to do it better. I don't know. Can't understand it. That's the only thing I can't explain.
Yeah. Oh,
Born
that's
miraculously from matter. That's what it is, I guess.
mhm.
By
So,
accident.
where do you feel like your dedication to beauty as a concept came from?
the I think I was noticing beautiful things for a long time, since like my very earliest memories from like whenever I was a child. But as far as beauty as a concept in my life, like an active concept, not just observation, I would say was White Oleander. Seeing White Oleander, the film, like on TV. Um, and of course, that book is heavily, heavily based off of art and beauty and its significance, to life and how you live it and your interactions with other people, what you will do in order to achieve beauty, what is excused through beauty. Those concepts came from White Oleander. I eventually read the book later, became completely and totally obsessed with it. I mean, the very idea that you read the book? Do you know what
No, not
White
the
Oleander? Okay, so White Oleander is the story of Astrid, um, whose mother is an artist and a murderer. She murders her lover and she's sentenced to prison, and so Astrid is taken through a bunch of different foster homes. And it is this very, very difficult relationship between the two of them. It's Astrid, like her mother, Ingrid, Magnuson, is basically trying to keep Astrid as her, like a fixed image of herself, like that she created, her daughter, right? And it's a coming of age where she's trying to figure out who she is aside from her mother and get released from her mother's grasp. But it's also it's an enormous conversation on art, amorality, um, who you are as a person, your character, and life experience. And it has a lot to do with what beauty uh, will afford you in this world. Ingrid, at the end of the book, not the movie, at the end of the book, I'm pretty sure she's released from prison. she's acquitted because she's this famous poet, and like people will, she says it in the book, they will forgive me everything because they think she's beautiful, she's a woman like poet, and she thinks because she lives beautifully, she lives by beauty, that it was okay for her to kill her lover. And that is a theory that was proposed by Oscar Wilde. The idea that beauty will even excuse murder. It's beauty allows absolute rights to do anything. So it's explored in that, in White Oleander, and it's incredible. It has a lot to say about like what beauty will, what people will forgive, what people will overlook because of beauty, how tempting it is to succumb to it, to the lie, the illusion of it in many instances. So that's probably where it first came from, even if it's just a fictional novel. The ideas in it are profound, and are found like in the aesthetic movement, and even before, in dandyism and everything. So
Mhm. That I think that leads very beautifully into the next thing I wanted to ask you. You mentioned the White Oleander comments on like the amorality around beauty. And actually, in a lot of the other conversations I've had for this project, morality, amorality, immorality, it keeps coming up. And so, could you talk a little bit about um, the amorality of beauty? But also, I'm going to tack on a couple more questions. So, does everyone have access to beauty? And when you are thinking about your answer for this, think about, because I feel like there's an answer for beauty in like a benevolent sense. Like everything is beautiful, everything can be beautiful, but we do live in a system of like the politics of desirability, who is desirable and therefore who gets what. Do you feel like everyone has access to beauty?
yes, I
Mhm.
do. It may not be the beauty that you want to have, like somebody can, let's say, be very, very talented at violin or writing, or maybe they're very eloquent in speech, but they would really, really love to just be physically beautiful. I think that people do have access to beauty, and beauty has like, it's not just about looking physically beautiful. But this is why I talk about things like charisma, because charisma is this beauty of not personality, but this ability to this this faith in oneself, this like stability in oneself that encourages other people to trust you. That's like Jesus was charismatic, for example, right? So many politicians are charismatic. They have to be, because you need people to listen to you and to believe in you, in order to further your cause, right? So I think beauty is accessible to everyone. Not everyone looks for beauty in that way. Some people find beauty, let's say, in the clothes that they wear, in the teacup that they drink from, in the food they eat, whatever. And some people are like, I just love the beauty of sitting on, like, the ease of being able to sit on my couch and watch TV and have a beer. Like some people find the beauty of just like, oh, I just want to go for a hike and I don't want to look any certain type of way. I don't want to like wash my hair or whatever. Like it's the aesthetics, and beauty comes in different forms to everyone. Um, but as far as physical beauty, I think that it's not top priority. But like you just need to find out like what your version is, and it might not be physical beauty. It might be just something else. Um, yeah.
Oh, so maybe then the amorality of beauty doesn't collide so much with your perspective on that. But could we talk about it?
What did you say?
The amorality of beauty. Like I know you posted a video essay. I love this one where you were talking about like beauty destroys, like beauty is like
Mhm. Like a dissolvent.
yeah. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. So Beauty, it's actually interesting because yesterday I was just looking into Plato's forms. It's a very rudimentary understanding of it, but right, there's like um you have the good at the top of the pyramid, and then you have like the forms, which are like these perfect, ideal, immortal versions, ideas. You have like concepts, and then you have there's another word for it, but you have like concepts like beauty, like justice, right? And then you have like a form of, let's say, a butterfly, right? And then you have these below it, you have like the um, physical versions, which are, oh, I just learned about it yesterday. Wait, it's totally applicable. Hold on. Um, okay, particulars. Particulars are the physical, like transient, like they exist in the physical world. So you have the form, which is like the ideal perfect version, and then you have like the particulars. Is that
Yeah,
what it?
yeah, you
Geez.
said particulars.
Okay, God, yeah. And which is like the imperfect version of that, like here on Earth in the physical world. So I'm so scattered in my brain.
Me too, you're fine.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, what did this mean? How did this, what was
Okay.
your question again?
Damn, what did I ask? Okay, I asked about, oh, beauty as a dissolvent.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Thank you. So because like you have the ideal form, and then like on Earth, it can't be a perfect thing here because it's a physical world, you know, things change. It's subject to that, to degrade, right? And so I thought about this idea that beauty is destruction, right? So let's say beauty in Plato's form exists perfectly in the divine realm up here. But once beauty is brought down to earth here, it has to act according to our laws, right? So beauty is a particular, whatever, down here, in the physical world. I think that beauty in the physical realm is a dissolvent, is a destructive force. Up here, it's not, because it can exist without bounds up here. But in the physical world, it has to, I think, dissolve. I think that beauty, if it grows in a person, it can act in a natural way, according to our cycles. You know, we're born, we live, we die. And I think beauty is part of the death movement. It's part of the cycle.
Mhm.
So I think that beauty, as it grows in society, uh, it is not a neutral force. I think it can be positive. Like I said, I think that beauty can inspire us to be better. But I think that beauty at its highest form, in its most mature form, uh, does not, it can't exist state in a stable way, for a long period of time. And so it's part of the dissolvent, it's part of the destructive thing. It destroys us over time. I just think it's too divine for us. We
Mm,
do a lot with it. It's really great. Just like we do a lot with our bodies, but like they can't survive here. You know, they eventually die, we degrade. So, and I think beauty is just like that as well.
mm. Man, I can't decide if that's like sad or gorgeous.
No, I don't. Yeah, maybe it's both. I mean, I just know that it, to be careful with it.
Mhm,
Just like anything else, it's like holding like nuclear waste. Kind
mhm,
of. So I think that it's just like a natural, a, I have to look at it in a natural like way, I guess, that, let's say if we're in a decadent period in our world, and that beauty beauty flourishes like it does now, um that maybe you just have to accept that like we might be like nearing an end to a degree. Maybe that's a signal of that. But that shit's really sad. I just mean like um it's just like it's what has to happen. I don't think we can control it. So it's like, what's the point? Like, just enjoy it, enjoy the fruits of it, the rotting fruits of it,
Yeah.
while we have it. And
Mhm.
then before we got to like start all over and figure it out again, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, this is reminding me when I learned what the word ephemeral meant and like got obsessed with the word, even the word, the sound of it, like the way
That's
the
beautiful.
way it
Yeah.
feels on your mouth, it just feels good. But then I think like I thought about all the ways that I don't let things go and how that like clashes with like just really appreciating the beauty in things as they are right now. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't know. There really isn't an end to or a question or a point to me saying that. I just wanted to share that that's what I was thinking in response to what you were saying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, beauty too, like the mind is part of the ephemera, in my
Mhm.
opinion. I think the mind does not have limits the way our body does, right? So I guess you could consider the mind as like a form, maybe.
Yeah.
That's probably philosophers would probably be like, Celine, what the hell are you talking about? But like in this
I don't care if
conversation,
they're not
symbolically,
here.
the mind is symbolically a form, let's say, because it does not have bounds. Okay, I think. And beauty can live there in our head in any which way we want. Like I was thinking about this, I've said on my channel, like beauty is fleeting. But then I've thought about it more. I'm like, no, it's not, because like we can keep it here forever. The only time it isn't fleeting is when you die and then you can't remember things or you have Alzheimer's or dementia. Like that's the only time, like that's the killer, is whenever you can't, when your memory is taken from you. But
Mhm.
aside from that, like beauty is not fleeting. Maybe the moment it existed in is, but like you can keep it forever
Mhm.
in your mind. You can document it. We can create art out of it. You can immortalize it. The brain can do that. So it isn't. It's still there. It's always there with you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's pivot back to the discussion around objectification
Hmm.
for this last chunk of questions. So if you could, what are some early times you remember like feeling or being objectified? And then how did you feel about those moments?
Okay. So I have to make a distinction in the beginning of this question because there are moments where I feel objectified and it's perfectly fine. And then there are moments where I feel like I'm being looked at, not even in a sexual way, like in a way that's like so carnal that no party can enjoy it, almost like there's like I have literally like I have, you know, walked up a set of stairs, for example, and I have seen a man at the bottom of the stairs looking at my legs as I've walked up. And I very much enjoyed it, like I was very much like, um, this is okay. Like, this is like, oh, this person desires me, right? There are certain, there's, as with anything with sex, there's always a very fine line between what is appropriate, what is acceptable, and what is not. But like, so there have been times where I've been looked at, even catcalled and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, like they just think I'm pretty, or they think I'm sexy, whatever. They want to have sex with me, okay, and that's all fine and dandy. And then there are the times where like the person that is like commenting on my appearance or trying to dance with me on the dance floor or whatever, and it's just like, it's just not, it's like below animal to me. Like there's just a point where it's just like kind of just gross. I'm just like, you could like get so much more out of life, but like, you know nothing but how to like come up behind a girl on a dance floor and like rub your like genitals on their butt. Like this is just like so nothing, you know what I mean? Like it's like below sexual attraction altogether. And I think there are those two distinctions. Like I have been looked at like and enjoyed even from men that I'm not attracted to. And I've been like, that's okay for you to see my body and enjoy it. And I know you're thinking of one thing, but there are also times where I'm just like, are you even like human? Like, are you even like, are you like even below animal? Like, it's just like, I don't even think you should like be like, I don't know. There's just that distinction I think I need to make. Like, I think there are like just some guys that are coming up in these generations that like don't that I am like fearful that they will never even like understand like what sexual attraction is, what it can be, what seduction is, like the real intimacy between people, men and women. But like we're talking about really men here. But um that distinction I think I need to make. Um so I guess that answers the question. Like I have had instances where I'm just like, looking at this guy, he's like faded out of his mind, like is just clearly like not a person yet, and he's like in college and I'm just like looking at them. I'm like, how do you even have sexual tastes? Like you're barely a person, like that's that grossness that I don't like. I'm like, this isn't even an interaction right now. And
No,
then there are guys where I'm just like, oh, I'm not into you, but like I get it,
mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, no, you said something that is compelling. You said sometimes it feels like it's so carnal that it's not pleasant for any parties involved. I find that so many men, particularly I think young men a lot of times, I don't know if they feel like they have no time, but it feels like they view sex or like the urge for sex as like a burden they desperately need to relieve right now.
Yes, yes,
And they're like,
absolutely.
and they can't decide if they're angry at you for making them feel that urge or angry with you for withholding the remedy for that urge, but it just feels so counterproductive. And it's like you said, like you can be enjoying so much more of life if you didn't approach this so clumsily and with so much
Yeah,
urgency.
yeah, absolutely.
Where is this coming from?
Yeah. No, it's out of pocket. It's so out of pocket. Like no human being like me. It's like fast food, It's just there is no time, no consideration. And I feel bad. Like I want them to know that it can be so much better. It can be so much better for both people. And it's not like you got to try so hard to please her and like court her and all this. It's like this should all be enjoyable for both of you. Okay. It's just like we have these like rooms, these beer drenched rooms with confetti everywhere and cheap liquor, and like they're these places that people come in the door and they just smash into one another in 5 minutes. It's like what do you do? Like it's not, this is like, I've seen more romance on like the Animal Planet. It's just sad. Like no one, like I'm not even attracted to you. Like there's like, it's like you don't even have pheromones, man. It's like so bad. It's like you're not a human. You don't know who you are, first of all, and then like your sexual tastes are like female. Let's
You're so indiscriminate. It's just like you have not
any
said no
one
to
of them.
me.
Like it's so gross. That's the gross part. I'm like creeped out more that like this like non-human being has like sexual desires. I'm like, are you sure you're even like sexually attracted to anybody at all? Or are you just doing what you think you're supposed to be doing? That's where this like separation comes from. I'm like, you're not really like real, are you? Like, you can't be serious. I
This
don't
is
know. It's
reminding
just like an
me,
acting. It's like some weird display theater thing, but not
yeah.
in a good way.
Well, no, this is reminding me of a video that you posted on your YouTube Shorts, where you were talking about convenience, like making everyone's lives worse. Because people get
Yep.
used to getting things easier, and then they don't even look up and realize like all the things they're sacrificing in the name of convenience.
Mhm.
I feel like this is that. Like people have gotten like through dating apps and hookup culture and stuff like that, and even just this like I saw someone call the current conversation around like what a man should do and what a woman should do heteronihilism. And I feel like that's just like such a good word for like what's happening. This conversation of like
Oh,
um
like dating and who
yeah,
should
like the
pay
dating
and
conversation. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
50-50 guys. I think I've
Exactly,
heard somewhere.
exactly. No, it's gotten so I don't
It's
know.
honest to God, it's like they're dissecting things that used to come second, like first nature, like or
Mhm.
second nature to people. Like it's like we already had all of this figured out, but you guys are like so far gone that like we gotta like go through the steps over again and like look at the study guide again because you guys don't know how things work. Like,
Yeah.
also I'm sure like more like with like what is it now, like third wave feminism we're at, right? There's also like issues with that, I think, and like the conversation that women want to have with men. Men are afraid to approach women. There's a lot of these barriers that both sides are putting up now because
Absolutely.
men don't want to like make women feel uncomfortable, but women are like, why aren't you coming after me? And it's like this problem because like the like I just did a video on Camille Paglia, so I'm just gonna bring her up because I'm on that note.
As you
But
should.
like sex is gonna be this ultimate problem. Like we can't, you're not going to liberalize sex into this perfect harmony in between men and women. It's just not gonna happen because it's dirty. It's dirty, it's carnal, it's like something that's so taboo and erotic and far out of like our social conventions. Like we're not going to be able to it's that's why a lot of it has to happen in the bedroom. That's why there's fetishes. That's why there's like the intimacy of you and your
Trust
partner,
between
whatever.
people.
Yeah, you need to have that intimacy. So it's just like, all right, I'm a little freaky. Like, are you gonna like, we cool? Can we do this? You know, it's this isn't a public conversation.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Thank you, girl. Oh my God. You know, it's just like you become so intellectual about pleasure. And it's like,
Yeah.
are y'all for real? Because like I know y'all not going home. I know you're going home to like a guy who's like who's saying some crazy shit to you, and you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you're going on Twitter and you're calling everybody else bad people, and I needed to stop. But like, no, people. I think we have a collective problem with like I, I don't know where it started. It felt like a slow build. When I don't really it's impossible to not have this conversation clumsily, for one. And I think too, it started once we started taking a turn societally where I think the position of victimhood started getting more social currency. And so in the beginning that was good. Like that was fine because then we were like
Yeah, we needed to address a
yeah.
problem. Yeah.
But I think we got a little carried away. And
Yeah. And now women are like, my sex life is the worst it's ever been. And like
yeah,
the dudes are the same way. They're just like, they don't want to talk to you. You gotta like, we gotta like go up to men now and be like, will you go out for a drink with me? It's like, what the fuck? Like the roles have reversed. Like I thought you were supposed to chase after me. Like this isn't fun. I
it's
don't want
impossible
to
to
do this.
have good sex when everyone is scared of being a bad person.
Yeah, no, like, and like the thing is too, like there are, you know, I've been in conversations like this. I've heard these conversations where girls are like, oh, this guy like came up to me, and I was just like, ew, like what the fuck? Like, don't talk to me. Like, I have my headphones in. Don't talk to me. It's like, all right, well, if we're there, then fuck it. You're not getting laid. It's over.
Yeah, it's
You
over.
gotta give the dude points for even coming up to you because you like you're a bitch. You're being a bitch. Like it's so like it really is like it's like it if you're not gonna have that openness, I mean, like even in gyms and stuff, like LA Fitness like has like a women's only room because all the guys feel like creeps now. All the guys come into the gym and they're like, I can't even look at her, you know, like girls don't want to be looked at because they're like, I'm sweaty, like I'm half naked. I don't want you leering at me across the, you know, across the like
Yeah,
the
which like that's real, but like I think like what's the problem is this double speak of like I want all of these hard boundaries, high walls, but I also want to partnership and I also want
to be
community. I want
pursued
fun
and I
sex
want to feel
too.
beautiful. Yeah.
Right. It's like I don't know.
It's
This is
too messy. That's the problem.
messy.
It's too
We
messy.
and we're not okay with it being a mess.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Anyway, child, let's
That's
move.
why I like older men.
Okay, no.
Because they're
So
older, they're traditional. They just come up to you. They know what to
yes,
do.
it's simple. No, I would
Yeah.
when I
They're
saw
from a different generation where they
yeah,
did the things that girls actually like them to do.
hmm.
It's yeah.
I saw the video that you and Cami posted where you were talking about your like age gap relationships.
Yeah.
And like I was just like I showed all like well I have a one friend in particular that I showed this video to and I was like they get it. They get it. There are I've like lost friendships on like my position on this,
Really?
because I just yeah because of that like hyper moralistic like this wrong. If a man is talking to you and he's this much older than you, then it's that this that and the third. It's like okay, well, what about what I want? Like we're not
Yeah.
gonna like address that at all.
Prioritize your desires. Like obviously stop it like what's bad for you, you know?
Obviously, yeah.
There are like we talked about it in that video, you know, the
Mhm.
issues that can arise from an age gap relationship. I mean,
Mhm.
like coming from completely different cultures,
Absolutely.
coming from different time periods. What were their struggles? What were their priorities? Like they're
Mhm.
different than yours, you know? If you
Yeah.
don't vibe hard, like you're going to come to a hard clash at some
Yeah.
point. Um,
Mhm.
so like I even find that like certain like references, cultural references, like
Mhm.
music, like events that went on, you know, like that have absolutely no significance to me will have significance to that person. Like,
Mhm.
so, yeah, like if you don't come from the same generation, if you don't have the same perils, same problems,
Yeah.
um, you better be vibing on a different level, like
Mhm.
in a different world of your own creation where you guys are the same all the time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think yeah, the age gap thing and like the older guy, like not like super old, you know, like
Mhm.
I'm not like going for guys that are like older than 40 or whatever, but even if Cammy was, it's it really is this I mean content like we're talking about sexual attraction here in this video. Uh that like older men just know how to talk to you, how to approach you, how to handle you,
Mhm.
in a way that we girls wish they could write a goddamn book on. They just know. They don't
Yeah,
need to be told
because it wasn't so pieced apart.
because those like those older men like they came from a generation where that was wait they had to come up to you, they had to be ballsy, they had to know what you were thinking before you could even say it, and what you could never say, what you didn't even know about yourself first. They had to know that about you in order to get anywhere in life. They needed to
Mhm.
have children and a marriage and like deal with all that, you know. And like that's what's so absolutely marvelous about older men. Like they just you don't have to do the goddamn explaining. You don't have to say when sorry,
Uh-oh.
yes or no or what's appropriate or what your boundary is. They just know what it is. They don't have to ask. Like and it isn't some weird awkward conversation that completely takes you out of all of the setting and everything altogether.
Yeah. No.
It's not so hard.
Hmm.
It's just like an understanding, you know. I think men and women are more separate from each other than they ever have been,
Mhm.
and we're
Absolutely.
less attracted to them than we
Yeah.
ever.
God help us. Um,
Yeah,
but I see you're losing light there, so I'm gonna
there we go. I just turned the light up on my laptop.
okay,
That's
cool.
better.
So let's power through the rest of these. I think a lot of these we already answered, so I really want to talk specifically about your real life experiences with men and feeling this like need to be desired by them. It doesn't have to be them like in general. It could be like specific. Honestly, I prefer that it's like specific people, like a time when like you knew someone, you wanted a man, and you needed him to want you. Any moments where you felt like you well, we'll start there because there are a couple of questions that shoot off from that.
Uh, like what did I do? Or
Yes, yes.
okay, well, I made it clear physically that I like wanted them. I think the woman's theater is her appearance and how she talks, you know, everything that lies beneath the surface, you know, body language and everything. Whenever I, like my ex, whenever I wanted that person, I started dressing differently, more provocative. Maybe not provocative, but I just started to show like I just dressed more femininely, um, femininely. Um, I would attempt to like talk to them a little bit more, like grab their attention. um there is this really incredible, seduction that happens. You you want to be seen by them, but you don't necessarily always want to talk to them. You want to be in their line of vision. um you uh yeah, there's this kind of like sorcery that kind of happens. You want to like laugh a certain way, and you want them to hear it. It's like you're making these like bird calls like all the time. And you're showing your like red feathers a little bit underneath here, and you're like doing this, you're doing this like posing around and stuff, and it's quite fun. It's like this a lot of entertainment and enjoyment comes out of that, like attracting them and like kind of casting that spell onto them in order to get them to notice you, because you have to do that, otherwise they like, unless they're like trying to get you are like invisible, right? So you're just like, okay, I want them to know, they need to know that I want them so that they can come up to me. Like that's just how it has to happen, right? So you have to flash your sexual signifiers, right? Like just look your best and make sure that they notice you. um and yeah, again, that's all really quite fun. So yeah, I made sure to like dress my best all the time, but also I needed to always, no matter what, I needed to make sure that I was myself. I didn't like not dress like me. I just dressed like the sexier version of me, because you don't want to look like every other girl, right? So you want to be able to stand out in your own way and become the the most sought out, the most unique person when it comes to seducing that person. So I always made sure that uh I was like drawing, I was always drawing in like this shop that I was going to all the time, like, but I made sure that they like could see me. Like sometimes I would be like drawing in like a ray of light coming through a window, or like something theatrical like that, things like that you always think about. Yeah, you just when I want someone to notice me and to come up to me, to that I'm attracted to, I just let them know through a kind of like theatrical, like a dance kind of thing, over time. So they think it's their own idea. And then um and then I dress a certain way to accentuate my femininity, because your personality isn't going to be the first thing they notice. If you're a complete stranger, you have to use your physical body first. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then I think one part a couple sentences ago leads kind of beautifully into this last question I want to ask you, which you seem like a super confident, like self-assured kind of person. So I don't even know if this is something your answer to this is probably no, but is there a time that you can remember where your want for a man made you feel pathetic? And if so, why? And what did you do with that feeling?
The only time that I can imagine that is like whenever I was like younger. Like when I was like when I liked a guy like in, I don't know, like elementary school or something like that. When I was like first grade, second grade, I had like huge like crushes, like really inappropriate crushes on guys whenever I was way too young, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, I remember like I liked a guy, and uh everyone knew it, and like I was like the ugly kid, I was like the weird kid, so I got bullied for it. So like they found out that I liked this guy, and then they just like come right up to me and be like, yeah, he doesn't like you. Like just like really crude mean shit like that. um I don't really remember how I reacted to that or not. I've usually, from what I can remember, I've always been really like mean and defiant. uh in addition to that, I'd always just be like, I that's all I can remember. Maybe I like cried in the bathroom later. I don't really know. That's all I can really remember. But I've never felt shame for my desire. No.
Hmm, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. You just said shame, so actually I have to ask you one more question. Could you talk? I'm doing this for everyone that I talk to. Um,
Okay.
maybe talk a little bit about shame, kind of how we did in our intro conversation, but as it pertains to everything that we've been talking about so far. So like beauty, attraction, partnership, sex, shame. Anything you want. Take it in any direction you want.
I think maybe the closest thing to shame is like maybe like embarrassment for me. I mean, like I know that in relationships, like I've felt very like self-conscious about like my desires or being like feeling sexual. Um and that's taken some time to overcome. It took very good men to help me overcome that. But as far as like shame goes, um I don't know if I've really like experienced that feeling in any way. Like guilt, yes, but oh, I mean like I remember like like getting caught like younger, like watching like porn that I shouldn't have been watching, not even knowing what the hell that kind of thing was in the beginning. Whenever I was very young and getting caught, yeah, there was shame associated with that, like hell. Just being like, it's just an inappropriate situation, like being caught by a parent, somebody that's not supposed to be informed of those kinds of things at all. Maybe this idea of like, yeah, the untrained eye, like the eyes that should not be on you. It's usually like associated with parents. Like I just don't want anything sexual, anything related. Um, I don't want them to know. That's probably the only thing I can think of. I'm trying to like, I know I might be missing something. Like what are your like?
Yeah, no, this is like with respect to the fact that you might be missing something, and I'm put you on the spot. This is actually really incredible. I think this is like a hallmark too of this going putting myself through this process of talking to people about shame, and noticing the different ways that it shows up in their life and how that might be like radically different from my life. Because I don't know if there's a day that I have lived where I have not been deeply ashamed in some way of what I thought, what I liked, what I was responding to. And I think I mentioned when we first talked that like it just has to do with like a lot of experiences I had when I was a child, that the way that I was introduced to desire was shameful and I didn't choose it. And so now every time those sensations come up in my life, I'm having to like wade through a sea of shame to get to the fun part. And I'm just now in my life feeling equipped to do that work. And so pleasure honestly is new. Like it's something that I'm like, I think what I was calling pleasure before was like, it's kind of like the idea of like you don't really know that like when you're looking at blue and other people are looking at blue and calling it blue, but you're seeing yellow, but you don't know that that's
Yeah,
not what people are. It's kind of like
yeah,
that.
yeah, I got what you mean.
Honestly, that was the end of my response. It's just it's incredible for me to when I hear people say that like that shame either doesn't play like a super prominent role in their life or like or just at least not as prominent as mine. Because I think I'm such a secretive person and I also suffer from like the syndrome where like I just assume everyone's brain works like mine. And so when I'm talking to people about the things that I'm thinking and feeling and they're different from what they think and feel, I'm like, "Oh, so this is not just normal. This is like a
Yeah.
particular situation that I'm in." So that's interesting.
The like shame definitely does not play a role in my life dominantly whatsoever. The and I think the reason for that is because I got rid of that very early in life. Like anything result like from being bullied or whatever at school, like heavily like ostracized as a kid, like I had to literally like quite literally like in order to just exist, my parents were just like you need to just like learn to be happy to be by yourself, like enjoy the things that you're good at, whatever, like stick to that. Like that was the best advice they could have given me. So any shame associated with like my tastes, um my individuality, my preferences, like my perspectives, all of that I had to like just say I my way is right. and it's the only way I can live. Like that's it. Nobody else can make me feel bad. Only I can make myself feel bad. I feel shame about silly things like I drank too much last night. Like I'm a piece of shit. Like I don't I haven't done anything with my life. Like that's the kind of shame I feel, but it very rarely has anything to do with like sexual interactions or anything like that.
Mm.
Or relationships really.
That's beautiful. I love that for you. Okay, recording now. But no, the wearing of the costumes, it kind of gives boundaries so that your brain doesn't have to be working so hard because like the circumstances are doing it for you. So
Yes.
you just kind of rest into, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is,
Yes. This
yeah.
okay, so we've come full circle with this because okay, so like the objectification thing, like
Mhm.
what I was trying to say, I guess, through this video of like, what if I want to be objectified is like you
Mhm.
have like the thinking female, the pure fucking chaos that is that of like the thinking female of like knowing and existing and like moving through that all the time and just observing and trying to analyze everything. And then when you just get put down to these like simple points of living of you're dressing nice, you're doing your hair, you're walking, this guy looks at you and you look at him and all else fades away. And it's like for one fucking second, I don't have to overthink
Yes.
everything in my life. I don't have to over intellectualize everything in my life.
Mhm.
I can just be a human being that is desired and that's it.
Yes.
And that is like, that's it. We've cracked the code. I'm so glad we
Mhm.
keep talking about this because it is like so insane actually. Like I feel like you know, we're probably exactly the same. Like the overdrive that is going on up here at
Mhm.
all times is so uncool. It's so unfair. It's cool, like it's great in certain circumstances, but when it comes to everything else, like God, like I just want like things to be simple sometimes. And
Mhm.
I want something as simple as just like a man saying I'm sexy, you know? And it's
Mhm.
just that. It's
Yeah.
just that. It's not all the Freudian crap beneath it.
Yes, it's like you
It's
think
not
I'm
everything
sexy because
else.
I remind you of da 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 da, and then my feeding
Oh,
into the patriarchy and da 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 da. It's
yeah,
like,
we don't have to go political about it.
oh,
It's just pure and simple like me like parading around. It doesn't have to be, let's say, performative femininity. It simply could just be entertainment. It's not entertainment for men. It's just I'm just having a good time, you know?
yeah.
I'm just enjoying myself. Let me like not like turn my brain off for 5 minutes and just like totally enjoy being the simplest way of living and just like even being entertainment for men just for 5 fucking seconds. Like it really is that because like if it isn't this, you know, let's say it's objectification over here, right? If it's not this, you start vacillating slowly into this insanity area over here where you are, let's say, making love to somebody and you like are in the middle of it, you get lost and you're like, where am I? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why does this feel this way? Why does this smell this way? Like it's just like so over like sensitized, like sensory overload for
Yes.
no reason. And
Yes.
there's like issues with like achieving orgasm for this reason, being able to like lose yourself in your body and stuff. And like, oh my God, have I had to unlearn that and to like come back into my body
Mhm.
to just like to because you're like when you're so intellectualized, right? You're like dissociated from your body. You don't know how to connect to it. You don't know how to feel and like really lose yourself within like the carnality of the body. And I've had to teach myself over the course of like years. Like actually years I've been working on this. It's like my like silent private life's project. Now not so private, but like actually my life's project to like become more sensual and to like not sensual, not the lifestyle movement, but like sensual as in like actually feeling my body, like
Yeah.
existing within my body.
Mhm.
That is so insane. Like,
No, earlier when I was asking you about the hierarchy of beauty, this is kind of what I wanted to go to, and my I think we needed this conversation to like actually create the neural pathway so I could go to this part, because like what I was trying to get at is that I think we like worship intellect, especially right now, to the point where like I think we it's and you get it with like these people who are like, oh, high vibes only, high, like no low vibrational nothing, and it's like
I haven't even
you
heard of
think
this
that's
yet.
moral. You
Oh
think
my
that's
God.
moral, but like you're like forgetting your body. You're forgetting your like your just like innate basic needs. You're foregoing like what actually feels good and what is actually fun in
Mhm.
favor of this like theoretical idea about what is like a just way to have fun and a just way to feel good, or like
Yep.
a self-actualized way to it's fucking stupid, because it's like
Yep.
it's an endless cycle of you coming up with new problems and new problems and new problems and no solutions.
Yeah.
And
The
it's
the moment I was talking about this with the Camille thing because everything comes back to Camille for me. But like once you start like moving towards like right the worship of the intellect, the idea, this stuff up here that has nothing to do with the body, you literally like dematerialize. You lose connection to your body, to your animalic sense, and to like your sexual attraction for other people becomes much more puzzling and complex. And like you are like I find myself thinking about stupid shit. Like before I even like approach a man, I'm like, what does his like mouth taste like? I'm probably not gonna like that. Like dumb stuff like that. Like you have to be kind of blissfully unaware and oblivious and curious in order to get anything done when it comes to like that, especially. But like, yeah, like the living for art and beauty, like the intellect, the idea, that's all beautiful. And believe me, I do worship it. But
Yeah.
it really it takes you it's a graduation from the flesh. There's literally no other way. You have to, it's either or. Like you can't keep the body and be intellectual to like the degrees that we want to be.
Mhm. No, and
um
this feels like it cycles back to what you were talking about earlier with like beauty is a dissolvent, and it makes you, it drives you to destruction, because like following it, following the idea of beauty, following like the idea and like the study of beauty is like it's when you were describing like, oh, like the mind can, like the mind is boundless, and the mind like it doesn't have the same boundaries as the body, and like
mhm.
and love or beauty can live in your brain beyond like its moment.
Yeah.
Now in that, when you were saying that, I was thinking like, okay, so yeah, that's why people get stuck in their brains, and I think we're all stuck in our brains, and like it's almost like we're wearing like VR glasses,
Mhm.
and there's the real world with like skin and like the body and like interaction and like conflict and mess and dirt and like getting shit under your fingernails. But
Mhm.
like that's scary because we've been so safe in here and like thinking about things and thinking about doing stuff and thinking about the lives that we might live if we were braver, or like or less like, I don't know, encumbered by thought.
Yeah, man. And that's, I guess, too, to answer possibly like your problem, right? I guess the shame comes from like the separation in a way. I guess like that you're overthinking, that you're not like living centrally purely, but like that there is always a boundary to pleasure and to sensuality. Because like the shame is rooted like in that flesh, I guess,
Yeah.
for you, I would assume, in
Mhm.
many situations. So yeah, it's like a matter of like that being distracted, like being taking yourself away from thinking where shame lives and being able to like move into desire, into
Mhm.
acting and without thought,
Mhm.
um in a kind of like nascent way.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I really think the answer to shame is to stop trying to figure out the why of everything, like, or at least to my shame. And as simple as the answer it's just like it's like a habit that you have to break because like if I've gotten used to for 24 years, like every time I feel something good, I'm asking myself, is it okay? Is that okay? Is that okay? Then like my body's gotten used to that. My brain's gotten used to that. And so, and then once it's asked one time, I can either follow the trail or it's already driven a wedge between me and the moment. And so it's kind of just like, I don't know. It takes years, like what you said, like bringing yourself back to your body. I've accepted that it's going to take me a long time. And I'm getting a later start than I'm realizing other people have. But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I feel that, yeah, same way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's like my goddamn life's work to come back
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, in so many ways, like through my channel and like what I do, like a lot of like what I do is still very intellectual, very much apart from this and meant to separate from this, like on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like a total mistress. Like I like I haven't released any like writings and stuff yet, but like I probably will in the future. But
Well,
like
please
just
do.
talking about like this, like talking about not only like the feelings, the really, really horrible feeling of the separation, of like being exposed to this like hole, like this chaos, this black hole of like perception and like transcendence, and being like I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I'm okay with seeing that. And like, why did I have to see that? Did I do that to me? Like what? Um, and like I like thoughts on that, and also like this romanticization of that, and like romanticization of transcendence, and like
Mhm.
the purification, the immortality, the the perfection of the idea, the immutable idea, right? Like I like, have you read like Clarice Lispector?
No. Okay, Clarice Lispector.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely read her. Yeah, start at whichever end you will, whatever end you feel is great, but definitely take a look at her. She's like people are looking into her a lot more now. She's like way more recognized than she used to be.
Mhm.
But she came out with her first book, uh Near to the Wild Heart. I think
Mhm.
she started writing that like when she was like before she was 18, and it's like the most like as far as like reaching the chaos and like being like learning, perceiving, living, like aware, like awareness, and like analyzing that, like that's it, that's everything. It's
Mhm.
like an entire internal monologue of like through uh morality, through existence, it's all a problem like that she's trying to solve. And it's like at times it's thick, like it's hard to get through because it's like so intelligent, like an like omniscient like intelligence trying to work through a human body and deal with human life while trying to like move past it. It's like it's all like kind of what we're talking about. And I want to do a video on it.
Mm.
I want to do like, you'll see, I'll post it. I want to do a video about like the dark feminine and Clarice Lispector and like her writing. Because the way that she talks is like the closest thing to like the dark feminine is like I care to look into. This idea of like this chaos of like opening like the seal to what could be, which is like this ultra hyper aware, like kind of omniscient like
Mhm.
perspective, like awareness. um and like she talked like from like Near to the Wild Heart, the character is like fairly like immoral, but like isn't immoral in a way that's like I'm gonna be bad for the sake of being bad. It's like she's bad because she thinks it's correct, and
Mhm.
like that's how her brain understands it. It's not, it seems like a neutral immoral kind of thing. Like you'll understand if you read it, but it's
Yeah.
like
Near
she
to the
talks
wild
about
heart.
like looking into the mirror and saying like she scarcely believes that she has limits and that she can inhabit every object, every person, every living creature around her for miles. Like it's just incredible like hearing it described like that, I'm like, that's dark femininity there. It's not like these hurt. I'm taking these off.
You're good.
Ow. God, I can only wear them for so long.
Hmm.
She like this idea of like being without bounds.
Hmm.
Um, and like the absolute terror of that, of like knowing that that exists within you as as a woman, especially, I think, because we are the embodiment of chaos, I think.
Hmm. I think so too.
My studies or whatever. um and like I even said like I think there's a reason like why men have tried to like hold us down, because like
Mhm.
we are batshit crazy. We
Mm,
have that chaos within us,
yeah.
and like we need it to be kind of like chilled out, because like I can't even handle it. We can't handle it.
No, it needs that's
It's
what the
too
balance is
much.
for.
That's what I was getting with
That's what the
the
balance is
objectification
for.
video too. I'm just like, please save me from myself. Save me from me. Save me from this shit that I just figured out about my femininity, and like I just want to like tell other girls about this experience and just be like, look, this is not like what it's cracked up to be. Like
Mm,
existing without bounds, you can do whatever you want, the world is your oyster. It's like that sounds fun in theory, but it's
yeah.
actually the most acutely terrifying thing on earth.
Mhm.
Actually though, like
Yes, no, because you can't have a fixed perception of who you are and what you're capable of and what you'll do. And I think this was okay, so this is feeling I love when conversations about completely different things just feel like they're connecting, especially in the context of this. Because I was just having a conversation with a woman named Jo One, and she's like a witch. And we were talking about how like the idea of manifestation has gotten real like cutesy and like really easy, like, oh, you just say this 20 times in front of the mirror every morning and you'll have $1 million. And like, but like what she does, what Joe One does is like really physically rigorous rituals to
yeah.
manifest things. And like the idea that like that is what magic always calls for.
Mhm.
And I
I've
think,
heard other people talk about it like that too.
yeah, that it's like
It
it's not
changed
a
my view on it a lot.
you said what?
It I've heard people talk about witchcraft in that way like one other time before, and I was like, okay, that actually doesn't sound stupid. Like
Yeah.
I'd like to know more.
Yeah,
I was
no.
like, this actually sounds like something of,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm. No, I think that I think that the internet has done mysticism a great disservice in
Mhm.
the way that it's had to be repackaged to like make sense to more people, but in that it's gotten so
Definitely.
diluted and like it's not about it used to be a secret. It used to be it's like some shit you had to go to a woman to learn and she had to look at you and say, are you even powerful enough to like do you have it like within you to like commit to this difficult process? Do you want to learn? And like I don't know, but it just feels like even with the idea of like a dark feminine, it's like it's become something as simple as like, oh, I wear my dark makeup and I don't text him back until it's been 30 minutes and no,
Got the
that is
little
not the
tone
dark
thing going
feminine.
on. It's been 30 minutes after the
Right,
30 minutes he spent making me
right.
wait for that text.
It's like that's not dark femininity. That's not femininity. That's just you like I don't know. I don't know what that is, but
It's not worth looking. Too simple.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've wanted to do a dark femininity video for a long time because
Mhm.
like God, the videos on it are just so mind-numbing. They're
Yeah.
so dumb.
They're all just like, oh, wear black and red lipstick in theory.
Oh, and it's all about actually getting him in the end. It has nothing to do with
Right.
you.
It's like, no, I think
It's ultimately just about being like desirable. Like it's like Katy Perry in the You're So Gay video, like or any literally, this is what it is. This is what it is. It's in every stereotypical like situation in a movie where a girl is blonde and then she dyes her hair black.
to look smart and like
Or no, to explore her dark side. She's gonna seduce with her sexy alter ego. Like I think like Angelina Jolie does this in Salt. She
mhm,
has like dark hair, like dark makeup, like
yeah,
then she's like blonde, and like they do this a lot. It's like
yeah.
um vice versa too, but like usually the blonde turning black is like dark side, Like
Mhm.
Christina Aguilera did it with her, and it was like this whole thing, this whole vibe change, like just this transformation, this metamorphosis. Like it's really that surface value.
Mhm. Absolutely. No, but I will read this. You said the heart. Wait, no. Near to the wild heart.
Yeah. The first book I read by her was A Passion According to GH.
Mhm.
Personally, I think that was a good place for me to start.
Mhm.
Um, there's Agua Viva. That's one of her last books, I believe. That's like her magnum opus. Um,
Mm.
and then Near to the Wild Heart is um was one of her first. She has a lot. She's
Mhm.
written quite a bit. But I guess like A Passion According to GH was like the is a like inner monologue about a woman who's having like a very profound spiritual experience, like mystical experience
Mhm.
after she kills a cockroach by
Mm.
slamming it with like a door or something.
Yeah.
And like the entire universe is just all of a sudden like her universe, her purpose, her place in the universe, all this is like this cosmic sensuality is like all of a sudden like brought to her attention. And
Ooh.
it's like a thing she has to like work through,
Mhm.
like who am I, why do I exist, like, but it's so much more than like Terrence McKenna version of that, it's not like, it's like so much fucking scarier than that.
Mhm.
I would like sit in the shower and like listen to these descriptions and be like, holy shit, like she's putting to words like things I can't, like I feel profoundly and they're so scary, but she's putting them like into words. Like I think in my bio, I think I it's from her. I am a I am a I'm a priestess. I'm a vestal priestess of a secret I have forgotten, and I
Mm.
and I choose the forgotten danger or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she talks about just like this was just shown to her like somehow by God, whoever, whatever, and then like she just like can't go on living. She's just like sitting there like, what the fuck do I do now? Like I've
Mhm.
just seen this. Like how do I proceed? Like and that's how I feel, like that's how I felt a couple months ago for me, like that's why I did the objectification video, was
Mm.
just like, okay, like now I know like what is possible, and how do we proceed, how do we go through this, like
Yeah.
is there a method, like can someone help, is there someone that can understand, can help with it, so she put it into words, like there's a woman out there that fucking gets it, like
Mhm.
did get it, you
Mhm.
know
And this is why this is
metacognition.
man, we're
Yeah.
never gonna be free. It's
No.
over. It's over for us. Like it's just too
We're done. We should just suicide pact. Get us, round us all up. We're done. Free
man.
us from this mortal coil.
But it just feels so good. Like I don't know. I'm sure that there is a like comparative comparatively pleasurable carnal experience that doesn't involve thought at all.
Yeah, it's
But
orgasm.
okay, yeah. There you go. See,
That's what
that's
it
not
is.
the
It's
connection I
literally the
get.
fucking opposite. It's the
Yeah.
opposite of that.
Damn. Shit.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously.
Let me stop recording again.